Okay, welcome everyone to the cost of non-inclusion. During this presentation, we wanted to do this because at Bank of America we have a very strong ally program, but also we have faced challenges. It was not always easy. So we had to, in many cases, explain and educate leaders, stakeholders, both internally and externally, on why it's important for an organization to create an all-inclusive environment. So throughout the presentation, one thing, we're going to show you an overview of our Ally program, that it has 8 years of life in 2020 and has like a lot of members. Zaina will talk a little more about it during the presentation. Then we are going to talk about the importance of inclusion, what organizations can do, and then we're going to talk how we explain the cost of non-inclusion and how do we build that case for inclusion within our organizations as well. We're going to move into the slide. We'd like for all of you to know who we are. First, also, I wanted to remind you that we have 2 polls. The first one you can answer right now if you wish. Where are you and your leadership team in your ally journey? We want to know if you are just beginning, if you consider yourself that you're halfway there, but you need a little more push, or if you are advanced and you would like to gain more knowledge, more experience, and share practices with an organization like Bank of America. At the end of the presentation, also, we will follow up with the attendees. We're going to send you additional information. We're going to share also dates for our Ally open houses that they are going to be starting in 2021. So my name is Christian Wedolowski. I go by the pronouns he or him. I'm based in London. It's rainy and it's dark right now. It's 8:05 in the evening, but I already had my dinner, which is good. I'm the Operational Excellence Executive for Global Banking and Markets and Regional Tech and Up. And also I am part of the LGBT Executive and the Hispanic Latino Executive Council. In addition to that, together with Zaina Barkawi, I am the co-chair of our Global Ally program. I added some photos there. You can see some photos of all my loves, basically. Madonna, Glenn, my partner, my dog, Garlic, and then theater as well. I ran a theater company for many years, and then my family as well in my native Uruguay. I am out at work. I was not out before when I joined the organization. I actually became out at work before I became out to my family, and the Ally program really played an instrumental part in my decision to come out in my journey, not only professionally, but personally as well. We're going to talk more about that as well in your personal journeys, but let's pass it over to Zaina to introduce herself.
Thank you, Christian. Hi, everyone. I'm Zaina Barkawi. My pronouns are she and her. And it's so wonderful to be here virtually with everyone this year. It's just a great way to reach an even broader audience. So we're really happy to have the time with you today. My ally journey started over 20 years ago when one of my best friends, Matt, was the victim of a hate crime. And you may be familiar with the story. Matthew Shepard, he was 21 years old. It happened in Wyoming, and it really just started that journey for me. To me, he was my friend Matt. To the world, he became an icon, Matthew Shepard. And so that's where I really started to get involved and become, engaged with the LGBT plus community and do whatever I can and do my part. Like everyone else, I wear many hats. I'm a mother to an amazing 5-year-old son. I have an amazing husband. One of my loves is yoga, so you can see us doing the headstands there on the beach. And I'm based on the West Coast, and today I'm coming to you from Sacramento, California, Northern California. So let's keep moving. And of course, I get to lead the Ally program with Christian, my awesome partner based in London. So we have to play the time zone game all the time. So what you see here is really just a sample of some awards and recognition that Bank of America has received, some accolades that really just validates and proves the focus that the company has on diversity and inclusion. So awards like being one of the best companies for working mothers, one of Stonewall's top employers. And again, it really just validates the work that we do and the importance of it. So really a great place to work, and you'll see more about that as we go through the presentation today. So if we keep moving, we have several employee networks or ERGs at the bank. And really through our employee networks, we have the power to identify, develop, and engage talent. That's really the idea here. So our LGBT plus network has 45 chapters globally. We have over 32,000 allies that are visible at the bank, so employees who have signed up, and that number continues to grow. We have over 70 visible out at work executives, and really that's so important because that shows at the very top of the house with our leadership team that you can be out at work, you can be visible, and it really, the inclusion starts at the top. And I like to say proudly, in the 90s, we were the first financial institution to offer comprehensive domestic partner benefits and to cover sexual orientation, non-discrimination policies. And then about 10 years ago, over 10 years ago, we were the first to cover medically necessary treatments for transgender employees in the US. So really just, again, just a small sample of what we've done to promote the diversity and inclusion that is so key. So if we keep moving, I'm going to pass it to Christian, who's going to talk about what would you like the power to do.
Thank you, Zaina. Today at the plenary, we heard amazing stories. We heard amazing stories from Bank of America teammates that really are inspiring, leading the way, and being role models. One of the questions we ask our clients and we ask our teammates in our communities is, what would you like the power to do? In order to make a commitment, to continue to inspire, to continue to achieve our mission, what we want, and how we can impact our families, our teammates, our organizations, and ourselves as well. For example, myself, I would like the power to make a difference. I would like the power for all of us to be able to be ourselves at work. And Zaina, I know you have also very strong power to do statements.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Christian. I would love the power to have every employee be a visible ally at the company. We're getting there, baby steps, step by step, but really that would be my goal.
We're getting there. And throughout the presentation, what we would like you to do is, as we go through the different concepts, start thinking, what would you like the power to do? And then we would like to hear from you. You have our emails. You will be able to ask questions as well through the polls section. So be able to send us your questions, tell us what would you like the power to do, and let's all partner together in making this community better. So Zaina, do you want to give us an overview on the Ally program?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about our Ally program. So as I mentioned, we have over 32,000 allies. That's a 30% increase. And again, we continue to see that number go up. It's really about how do we grow the program and then how do we engage those allies. We also have almost 2,000 out at work employees around the globe. We have a presence in almost 1,000 cities and 33 countries. And we continue to share our best practices externally with clients and organizations, just like in this forum today. So really that's our way of ensuring we're making the biggest impact we can, not just within our organization, but influencing outside as well. And it's pretty simple. Our mission is to foster a safe and inclusive culture and environment for LGBT plus employees. We have a pretty robust strategy of how we do that. So we have key roles like our ally ambassadors, we do trainings, we have events and networking. And then from a tech standpoint, we have a state-of-the-art engagement portal, and that Christian is gonna show you a little bit about that, but that's really how we keep people connected and we're able to communicate with our allies. So with that, I'm gonna turn it to Christian. He's gonna walk us through the portal and the journey.
Thank you, Zaina, very much. I see some of the questions coming up on the chat. Just a reminder, in the polls section, there is an option to submit questions for the speakers. That's the best way. So at the end, we can moderate the questions. But I saw one of them that says, how do you measure the numbers? How do we know that we have 32,000 allies? So our journey wasn't easy. We started in 2012. I told you the Ally program at Bank of America has 8 years. A group of leaders at the bank got together actually in an Out and Equal Summit, and they started thinking, why don't we create an ally program, right? But how do we get leadership buy-in? How do we explain the cost of non-inclusions and the importance of having an ally program that would encourage associates to support the LGBT plus teammates, and at the same time, it will create an environment where one would feel welcome regardless of sexual orientation or sexual identity. And at that point, we started to get, how do we do it? Who will sponsor this? And we set up a goal. So the following year, we said, let's reach 25,000 allies. We are an organization of 200,000 people. We can set like, hey, more than 10% to become allies in the organization. We created a very basic dashboard using SharePoint where people could go, enter their name, and they would become visible allies. We also created an ally video with leaders across the organization and key teammates that they could go and share their story, out at work teammates, ally teammates, share personal stories to encourage others to do the same and become role models to encourage others to feel that they belong and to create this inclusive environment that we all envisioned Bank of America was, and we envision that Bank of America will be as we continued this journey into allyship. In 2014, we started developing training. So we developed our one-on-one series. We developed Ally one-on-one, Transgender one-on-one, Bisexuality one-on-one, LGBT one-on-one. So in order to educate our population, and we added these trainings to our development program. So our learning development team allowed us to share this with the broader population at the bank, further educating teams, organization globally. Then we introduced collaterals. You see some examples there, an ally guide, stickers, also a tent card that people started proudly showing on their desks. And then we moved into branded t-shirts, etc. We launched our ally program engagement portal in 2016, and that's where we got support from the technology team in order to implement state-of-the-art technology that will enable employees to go and mark themselves either as allied or out at work employees. And in 2017, we had 20,000 allies. 2018 was a key year for us, and it marked really a milestone in the ally program because we reached our original goal of 25,000 allies, and we started a journey of integrating the ally portal with our D&I portal as well. And 2019 and 2020 started change and evolution and innovation of our ally strategy. We started to focus not only on growth, but also on engagement. How do we keep allies engaged and explain the mission of what we wanted to do? We developed new goals. We changed our sponsor, not because our sponsor was not good, she was amazing, but also at Bank of America, we keep rotating sponsors and leaders in the different employee networks. And so I think we went from excellent to excellent, and now we continue that journey as strong as ever. We developed a new strategy, and that strategy consists also in changing our portal and bringing new technology and changing the way we attract and we engage allies. So on the next slide, we show you some clips of our ally engagement portal. The ally engagement portal is very simple, but it has one thing that really caught my eye from the very beginning, and is the gamification of the strategy. So basically, when one signs up as an ally, you are a bronze member, then you have a series of activities that you need to complete, and you move up the ladder into silver, gold, or platinum. Those guidelines keep changing, keep adapting, and it really are a group of activities that include engagement with the community. It also includes educational sessions, and it includes also being a role model and share with your team using toolkits. Also, you can see in the right a profile update. So every time there is activity in the Ally portal, there is a live feed. You also have a navigator function and a demographic function where you can go and check in your organizations who are ally or out at work in your building, in your floor, in your country or city, in your line of business. That for me, I personally was instrumental when making a decision to come out at work, because I could see in the Ally portal whether I was in an accepting organization or not. I mean, I was very happy to see several of my leaders, my own management be ally, and really opened the door for me to really be who I wanted to be. So we include in the portal videos, roadshows, and training. We have a system for ally ambassadors. So every chapter has an ally ambassador that their mission is to educate allies and really assist those allies in their journey as well. We also have throughout the years, not only Pride Month, but also around October, November, over the years, we have been doing our Ally Week, which really proved to be very successful, celebrating allies and making allies be part of the LGBT celebration and being able to connect one another globally. We have virtual chapters, but also we have events in several of our key markets as well. As I mentioned, 2020 will be a year of change, and by the end of the year, we're going to launch our new Ally portal, and that's on next slide. And basically, the new Ally portal will be similar but different, and similar in the way that we will still be counting allies. You will still have the option to be a visible ally or out at work, but we're changing a little our gamification guidelines as well. So we're going to have 4 categories. One is advocates, the other one is inspire, support, and lead. And then with these, as you continue to learn and you continue with this journey, then you will be able to get badges. So each member will get 8 activities. You're going to get badges. When you get 4 badges, you will become platinum. The good thing that this will give us the flexibility throughout the year to generate additional badges. So if it is Pride Month, we can release a series of activities and give the 2021 Pride Month badge to our allies so they can proudly show it on their profiles as well. At the same time, when we have days of visibility, we're going to do the same, because the mission for us is continue to educate our allies on current issues and continue to create a case for inclusion. So with this redefined gamification, we are expecting to increase engagement, increase education, and like I mentioned, we not only do this internally, but in 2021, we are launching our Ally Open Houses. That will be a series of events across geographies where we're going to get together companies and organizations across the globe in order to come share best practices and learn from us. And so we will be able to continue to partner with all of you in order to create a better community, not only within our organizations, but externally as well. So let's move to the next slide, and I think is Zaina.
Yeah, thanks, Christian. So I see some of the questions coming in, and we often get questions about, how do you get a program off the ground? How do you get this started? How do you get really executive buy-in and executive sponsorship, which is really important, right? We understand, to kind of get this going. So we're going to help you with building your business case for inclusion. So let's start with why inclusion is important. And I think we all know it's important, it's the right thing to do, but here it's really more, there's more to it than that. So here are some ways that it really boosts our employees, which we know then boosts the organization, right? So we know that when there's an inclusive environment, employees feel more satisfied, there's stronger engagement, they're more productive, they network more, they're more creative, and all of this again leads to the bottom line, right? Better results, better productivity. You then can attract and retain the best talent because you're offering a great place to work and that inclusive environment. So other than it's the right thing to do, there's really some strong business case behind it, and really just promoting that environment. So let's take a look at what happens when you have, when you don't have an inclusive environment. If we go to the next slide. So really, did you know that 61% of us spend most of our time and energy trying to blend in? So if we pull these up, you'll see. And think about, I mean, it's pretty shocking. Think about how much time that is that you're spending on covering, and this applies to all of us, me, you, and people you know and people you work with, right? So if we pull up the other stats, that's a lot of time and energy that you could be spending on being productive or being creative or being innovative, but instead you're spending it on covering. So the largest group here that you see is the LGBT plus community. 83% of the time, or 83% of individuals are spending time and energy trying to blend in. 79% of the Black community, 67% women of color, and so on. 45% even straight white men in that population are spending time and energy trying to blend in, which takes away time and energy from everything else. So again, this applies to all of us. So let's talk about covering. If we go to the next slide, and there should be a poll that might pop up where you can, as we're talking here, just answer the question around, have you spent a significant time covering, yes or no, blending in? I know I have. Christian's going to share a little bit too in a moment. And these are just some examples, right? But we know that this happens every day. Again, this includes all of us and people that you know. So whether it's things like you're covering being a single parent, or maybe you're covering your, economic status, maybe you're covering a disability or age. It could be, your political views. It could be recovery or someone that you know who's in recovery, or even just the types of clothes you wear or the hairstyle that you have. We spend, again, time and energy trying to cover, trying to blend in, which then takes away from time and energy we can spend elsewhere. So the idea is we need to be able to bring our whole selves to work and feel safe doing that in an inclusive environment. So I like to share my personal story. I was covering being an ally. For years, I was very engaged with the Matthew Shepard Foundation. I was volunteering. I was working on a documentary. I was just very active in the community, but I wasn't talking about it at work for whatever reason. I just didn't bring those two things together. And I just realized one day that I'm not bringing my whole self to work, that this is something that's important to me that I should be talking about. And I was spending time covering it. And so as soon as I started talking about it, I was able to really bring both worlds together, which is what led to this ally leadership role. And it's wonderful. It's bringing my passions together, and now I can make an impact internally with the organization and as well as externally. The other thing is my hair. I'll share. I usually straighten my hair, but with COVID, I've been wearing it naturally curly, and I love it. So Christian, I'm going to turn it to you so you can share a little bit about maybe what you've been covering or what you've covered in the past.
Well, what I haven't covered. I've been covering, like, I think all my life. So I always knew that I was gay, for example, and while growing up, I never even questioned myself that I would ever be able to live as a gay man ever in my life. Coming from Uruguay, I knew where, even though Uruguay was somewhat progressive, not when I was growing up, and I basically did what I had to do. I had a girlfriend, I got engaged. I almost got married, then we broke up. She's not my biggest fan right now, but I had to really be true to myself. But then when I moved to the United States, and I moved with her at first, and then we're gonna go back to Uruguay to get married, I remember that when I made the decision, like, hey, this is not the life I want, and then I met my current partner, Glenn, I kind of didn't want to talk about my life in work. So I didn't want to be at the elevator. I didn't want to face people. Nobody should ask me what happened during the weekend or where did I go. I covered a lot of time also my own origin, right? Because I'm from Uruguay, but I have a Polish last name. So for some people, I'm Latino. For other people, I'm European. And now I live in London, but I'm from Latin America, but I'm also American. I have 3 passports. Don't tell anybody what I'm telling it to 700 people, but I hope it's not a wrong thing to have. But the fact is that I was always an immigrant, and it's hard to find yourself. And sometimes you're always covering aspects of your personality. So really only recently and through the work, actually through the work at the organization, I'm proud to be Latino, I'm proud to be gay. I can bring myself to work, and that helped me enormously, not only live a happy life with my partner in a city like London, but also to be able to share openly with my family. And then once I decided, like, hey, I shouldn't cover, I shouldn't try to blend in, actually my productivity increased. I have a huge network that I didn't have before. I didn't want to have friends at work because they would find out who I was, and I wanted everybody to think that I was straight, because what my mom would think about it family is everything for us Latinos. So it wasn't easy, and it was a journey. And only now I kind of feel like it is where it's meant to be, actually. So with that, we're going to go into the next slide. And I see that many of you are answering to the poll, and over 50% of you, yes, spend a significant amount of time trying to blend in. So thank you for sharing. So how do we drive inclusion in an organization? If we take a look at driving inclusion, there are several ways of driving it, both internally, externally, or somewhere in between. So let's take a look at what we can do internally. So internally, we can drive inclusion through our benefits that they need to be all-inclusive, well-being programs, employee networks, allied program for LGBT plus employees, recognition, right? Recognize when someone is inclusive in order to create role models and make inclusion visible. And also having courageous conversations and educating your employees. Externally, for example, with clients, community, vendors, we continue to educate our vendors on inclusion as well. And then while recruiting, also we need to make sure that we are creating an environment where everybody feels that they belong. Is that business of belonging is where every company and every one of us participating in Out and Equal in Summit this year is where we want to be. Through social media, we can also continue to drive inclusion, and it's all for one thing. So what do we have in the middle? It's our brand. It's our talent. We want to be the employer of choice for LGBT plus talent. And we continue to attract that talent because we have created a strong basis for that inclusion. What impact has, or what impact can we have when we put all of this together and we have this congruence model and everything works together, is the impact of this inclusive culture. Then Zaina, you can walk us through these statistics.
Yeah, thanks, Christian. So really it's, let's further build the case, right, for the importance of diversity and inclusion and the positive impact of an inclusive culture. So this is a study that was done by Deloitte that determined that when you have an inclusive culture, you're 2 times as likely to meet or exceed financial targets. You're 3 times as likely to be high performing, 6 times as likely to be innovative and agile, and 8 times more likely to achieve better business outcomes. So again, if everything else and you still need more for your business case, I think this really makes the case for the importance. So let's talk about, Christian's going to take us a little deeper now in terms of what happens, the cost of non-inclusion.
Well, the cost of non-inclusion, this is a great exercise that I love to do. And I do it at all levels in the organization because I think it's important to educate leaders, educate managers, but also educate outside the organization as well. And we have used this in many forums, but basically, how do we monetize the impact of a non-inclusive environment? Because a lot of times we need to put in the context of numbers and in the context of how will it impact your business outcomes, not only your employees, but the outcomes from those employees, and how do you continue driving this inclusion? So we always consider what you have, right? So what is your total workforce? What are the average working hours per year? What is your hourly wage, if you wish, and what are the benefits that you provide? So in an organization like Bank of America, if I want to put it as an example, we have 205,000 employees, 40 hours a week, and we keep doing all the calculations, and our basically the total amount of hours that our workforce work is 512 million hours a year. The impact of a non-inclusive environment. If we are a non-inclusive organization, this is the percentage of productivity decrease due to your employees trying to blend in. Now, I'm very cynic when it comes to metrics and statistics, etc. So I read a lot, and with Zaina, we've been bouncing back and forth several studies when we're coming up with these numbers, and some of them it says like it's a 40% productivity decrease. And it's like, well, we really cannot go anywhere saying that 40 or 50% of productivity decreases because of efforts to blend in. So we settle with a 10%. 10% of that time is 50 million hours that an organization like Bank of America, right, would lose if we were a non-inclusive environment. But we're not losing that time, right? But it's time that our employees are not using to network. They are not using it to increase their business outcomes. They are not using it to create an organization at its maximum potential. We are not maximizing credibility. We are not creating a community. In fact, we are breaking that community. So regardless of the size of your organization, and however you want to base your study on the impact and the productivity decrease, I can assure you that the more you read, the more shocking the numbers are. And if you take a 10% or 20% to build your case for productivity decrease, is more than accurate. And then you're going to be able to depict very easily to your leaders, to your organization, your peers, and your employee network on why inclusion is important, because the cost of non-inclusion will be something that no organization would have to lose, but also your teammates, your employees should not have to go through the challenges of a non-inclusive organization. So moving into the next slide. So what is our responsibility? Our responsibility as a company, and this we share with managers, we train our people, and we really share it across the organization, is to create an all-inclusive environment, to advance when it comes to equality. We want to be totally aligned to the company's values and commitment, and that is D&I is part of our DNA at all times. It comes from the top, but it also comes from every single level in the organization. Also, we have a commitment to educate ourselves and others. That's what every organization has to do in order to keep promoting this dialogue, continue to have courageous conversations, and then understand the value of a diverse team. It's not always about what we know as individuals or what is our outcome as individual, is what we can deliver as a team. And the more diverse the team is, the better the business outcomes will be. And also, for every employee, we ask them to be a visible D&I advocate and to continue to promote equality, be a visible ally. And that's why we have put so much effort into the technology, into the strategy for our ally portal. So many people in the organizations are like, well, yes, I would love to hire diverse. I would like to have diverse talent, but really diverse talent is not applying, right? So I have a slate of candidates, and it's hard to really find a diverse candidate or an LGBT candidate that has like 100% match in the skills that I'm looking for. So this is another exercise that we put together for our managers and leaders and stakeholders across the organization so they can understand. So let's go to the next slide, please. So for example, we have an open, right? We have a job posting, and then from there, we have a diverse slate of candidates that they apply. Let's say we have 13 total applicants that, are we seeing the presentation? Yeah, so we have the open position, then we have our diverse slate of candidates. We have 13 applicants total, including non-diverse and diverse candidates, let's say 70% and 30%. So we start analyzing what skills and competencies I need for the role. So of course, there is a lower probability based on my slate, right, that a diverse candidate having the highest match in skills for an open role. Then non-diverse candidate gets hired based on skills. It's right, the manager wants the best business outcomes in the shortest amount of time. So what we ask organizations and how we educate when it comes to the hiring manager is evaluate your team and look at diversity. So are you building an inclusive team? The next thing that we ask is, will really hiring this diverse candidate bring more value to the team financially, or when it comes to business outcomes or revenue generating, than what you would invest in 3 or 6 months of development, right? For an individual that will bring that diversity of thought for the team. And the key question that we ask throughout the organization is, what is the cost of diversity when compared to the cost of non-inclusion? And when we ask this question and we make people think, and a lot of mistakes or misconceptions that happen in organization is that we haven't stopped to think what is the impact and what is the cost of non-inclusion. So continue to educate throughout the organization, continue to reach out to people, continue to reach out to your partners, talk to HR, and engage at all levels in the organization, including leaders, to get the buy-in you need, explaining the cost of non-inclusion and the impact that a diverse team will have. Not only because you're doing the right thing, but also you're creating an organization that will mirror the communities you serve. Also, you're creating a diverse team, you are increasing diversity of thought, and ultimately, it will generate much better business outcome in the future. So, next slide. So what can we do? Zaina, you can talk about recruiting, what organizations can do. You are HR, so I will rely on this one on you, please.
Yeah, thanks, Christian. So there's a lot that you can do from the hiring process, right? I mean, Christian already talked about the importance of diverse slates and really opening up the candidate pool to find the best person for the job. So partnering with your HR department, partnering with your recruiting team, really, I think the education piece is the most important, right? Ensuring that they understand the importance, just like we've been talking about today, around inclusion, meeting with hiring managers, educating them, you know, whether it's through training or conversations like this, so that they're really bought in. It has to be a sincere buy-in to the importance of inclusion and the benefits of hiring a diverse, having a diverse team, building that diverse team. And there's different ways to do that, right? So there's through job postings, through campus recruiting, through networking and conferences and summits like this, really getting your brand out there, getting the word out there when you're hiring, and expanding that reach. And it all is connected, right? The more your organization is doing to have a diverse and inclusive environment, the more that's going to attract that type of talent. So ensuring that you have that foundation will help with your brand to get the word out there to then attract that talent back. Social media is another great way to do that, right? Getting the word out on social in terms of what you're doing in the community. So be an advocate, have those conversations, and then invest in the talent, right? So that's step one, is the hiring and recruiting, the onboarding, and then ensuring that that talent feels safe, feels included, and is in an environment where they can truly grow, develop, and reach their full potential for themselves and for the organization. So it just takes one. Yeah, Christian, go ahead.
No, I wanted to talk about that. That it really, many people reach out to us, Zaina, and it happened a lot of times. It's like, well, this needs to come from the top. So how do I have that conversation with the CEO of my company? How can I get my management team and leaders to buy into this? I understand the cost. I understand how to build a case, but who's going to listen to me in the organization, right? And do this. It doesn't come from the top. It's only takes one to start a movement and really make a difference. It happened to me. I mean, I was this shy boy entering corporate life in the United States, scared of being myself. And until I met my manager, and my manager, Jerry Stone, many of you may know him, not only inspired me, but when I heard his story, and when I said, and he should be very proud, because I heard about him and his husband, and when it was my turn to introduce myself, that was the first time that I publicly said, I live with my partner, Glenn. Until then, Glenn was my friend. And I lived with my friend and our dog, which was really weird, but we shared the dog, but it was what it was. And so that inspiration and that reasoning behind coming out is because of a role model, and a role model can have a lasting impact in your life forever. And so it didn't take the CEO, it took my direct manager, but also friends. And what I ask everyone always, and whenever we share this session, is get out there, be yourself, be an advocate, have that conversation with someone, invest in talent. Even if you don't have a team, be a leader and be a role model. And that's the best way of creating a case for inclusion. You will make lasting differences in your talent, in your teammates, and in your communities. So I cannot stress the importance of it. It doesn't come only from the top. It comes from all directions in the organization to the heart of the company or the organization to change it forever. And that's what inclusion is all about.
Mm-hmm.
Dana.
Thanks, Christian. So it's so true. I mean, it really starts with you. It starts with me. It starts with you, each one of us making a difference. Each one of us thinking about our circle of influence and doing what we can to influence, which then spreads. So really, whether you're in a leadership role or not, you can step up as a leader, you can lead by example, and you can be the change that you want to see. So we often get asked, what can I do? What are some practical, everyday things that are really realistic and doable that I can do to be an ally, to be an active ally, or to just promote that culture of inclusion? So we have a partnership with Love Has No Labels, and we have 6 kind of core expectations that we expect really from all of our allies. And again, these are really doable, easy things we wanted to share with you all so you can start to think about how to incorporate this in your daily lives and how to spread this and really expect it from others too. So we'll take a look at each one. The first one is start conversations, right? It's just as simple as, having a conversation, reaching out to someone new, understanding your differences, taking the time to talk. And that's really talking and listening is really how we learn best. Use inclusive language, right? So really, again, lead by example, be intentional with your language, use pronouns, think about how you're asking questions, asking about, a partner, for example, and that really will indicate to others around you. And that's the influence piece that will teach others to use that same inclusive language around you.
But also, Reina,
Yeah.
stand and speak up when someone is not using inclusive language, because a lot of time it's a problem with education, and it's a problem of having that courageous conversation. It's like, hey, that's wrong, and you cannot. So be direct. People are listening, and that's the important.
Yeah, and you'll find most times people want to learn. They're just, like, to Christian's point, they may not know. If we move to the next slide, so recognize and thank people who act inclusively. So really it's about rewarding and reinforcing that positive behavior. So saying thank you and really celebrating when you witness an act of inclusion, when you witness someone using, the right pronouns or being inclusive or reaching out and thanking those people. Reconsider stereotypes, right? I like to call this the check yourself one. So we all need to check ourselves. We all have stereotypes. So really think about that, understand how stereotypes can be harmful, they can be hurtful, and most times they're not founded in anything accurate or true. So that's the way we can all check ourselves. And then the last two, create a culture of listening, and Christian kind of talked about that as well. So really just, listen, make a point to reach out. If you're in a meeting, if you're in a leadership role and you see that maybe someone's being quiet, just really using your influence to solicit their engagement, actively get them involved. And again, it's leading by example. Having those behaviors will really rub off on others. And then offering support, and this can be one-on-one, this can be pulling someone aside to say, hey, I saw what happened, are you okay? I'm here to support you. If you need anything, I'm here. So whether it's publicly or privately, offering that support, that can make a huge difference to someone, just to know that they have a place to go. Like Christian said with his manager, I mean, that one person can make a huge difference, for the course of someone's life or someone's career. So with that, with time, I know we want to leave enough time for questions. I'm going to turn it to Christian so we can start wrapping up and take some of the questions that we see coming in.
Excellent. So everyone, we just want to remind you, we're going to reach out to all of the attendees. We are going to have next year, probably in the month of January, we're going to launch the Ally Open Houses. Probably we're going to do them quarterly. We're going to share our journey and more specific, maybe show you live demos of our Ally portal. Also, we will be able to share the Act of Inclusion cards so you can read them and maybe get some of the messaging for your organizations as well. For us, we're really important. And the good thing is like they are not only applicable to LGBTQ, they are applicable across all the different aspects that makes us diverse. So that culture of listening, right, or offering support and recognizing inclusivity, it spans across all of us and it touches every single teammate. So it is extremely important. And I think like through our LGBT plus allied portal and allied program, we are really setting an example for the entire organization and organizations when we share this. And that's why we enjoy sharing it. We're very passionate about it, and we really want to make a difference. And today we heard, as I mentioned at the beginning, very inspiring stories from our teammates. It really gives me always goosebumps when I hear stories like theirs, because it really shows the commitment that Bank of America has to make this a great place to work for the LGBT community. But we keep hearing those stories on a one-on-one basis in different forums. People reach out to us. It is this culture of listening. But I want to remind everyone how we started this session is, what would you like the power to do? This question that we keep asking our teammates and asking our clients and stakeholders and the communities. If you have time, you can use the chat feature and let us know what would you like the power to do. We're gonna grab all the answers as well and get that together with the feedback from all of you. But really, what would you like to change? So we're gonna wrap it up now, and we're gonna see if we have some time for a Q&A, and I really don't know how to look at the questions. So I don't know if we have Scott on the line.
This is Scott. So, one of the big questions here is, how do people actually identify themselves as allies? So what makes them count?
So there are, that's a great question. And to be totally honest, it's a matter of education. So we self-mark, there is no test, right, to become an ally. There is nothing that I can do, to check if someone is really an ally or not really an ally. So what make them count? They go to our ally portal, they read the materials, they put a statement out there that on why they want to be an ally, and then they begin their ally journey. At that moment, they will start getting collateral, education, getting notifications, invitations to event, but most importantly, at that moment, they become visible allies. So we are not saying that we have 32,000 allies and the rest are not allies. We have 32,000 visible allies in the organization that are making a difference, and we keep encouraging the rest of the organization to become visible and to mark themselves and count themselves as allies. A lot of people approach and say, like, what does it make a difference? I don't have anything against the LGBT community. Well, it's not having anything against, right? But what you're doing when you put yourself as an ally is like you're all for something. You really are putting yourself out there as an ally for everyone else to see, and you're being a role model, and that's what makes you count. So right now we know that 32,000 people started that journey, that we have over 8,000 to 10,000 that completed the journey up to a platinum ally, that we had 32,000 people that are not afraid to say, I fully and visibly support the organization. And I think that is really making a difference, and we're seeing the growth, it starts to be exponential, because right now we're asking other allies to continue to educate others, and then they keep bringing people. Our Ally Week campaign is be one, bring one. And so we keep on growing the Ally program, but by peer education. And I think that's extremely important. Zaina, anything to add?
Well, and I just want to also, before you ask that, you start thinking about it, there's a lot of questions. How does everybody join? So be thinking about that. And Zaina, go ahead and finish your.
Yeah, I can touch on that a little bit too, Scott. Thank you. So as Christian mentioned, the portal's really kind of, from a tech standpoint, how we are able to measure, track, engage, right? So you actually go up and you go in and you sign up, and then you are officially an ally. And what we know, because our organization has over 200,000 employees, we know we have a lot more allies out there. We have 32,000 who have taken the step to sign up. So it's really about promoting the program. Even internally, we still talk about it in terms of recruiting, internals, like Christian said, leveraging our allies to help promote the program and help bring more allies. To just take that step to sign up is really what makes you visible. And then you have access to information and training and events, and we can engage with you more directly once you are officially an ally. So hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, I don't know, Scott, if you can go back to page 9, but with the new revamped ally portal, this is what employees will see. So they will go into our page. They will see
go back to slide
us. Sorry?
I'm very talented. I can go back to slide 9.
Thank you very much. So basically, they will see stand with us. They will see a statement. This is a draft, right? This is not our finished product, not at all. We are trying to launch in a month time. But then they will click be a visible ally or be out at work, and then is where the journey begins. We're going to redirect them to resources. We want them to learn. We wanted to attend training and sessions and recruit other people, be a mentor as well. So there are a lot of steps that they can do in order to become advocates, to learn, support, and inspire others. And that's where we start counting them. Then they will get a score. Then they will start like a game, and then everybody start competing with each other. And a little competition, healthy competition, also creates a little buzz. And then it's working very good, actually. One of the things before we go into the questions is a lot of people have reached out in the past and it's like, well, but you invested a lot in technology. So for us, it would be impossible. It doesn't need to be this complicated. You can start with posting a table in an intranet, right? Or creating a mailbox and say, become an ally, write to this email ID, and you start creating your list. You will start building your case for inclusion, as simple as it can be at the beginning. That was ours at the beginning, right? And then it starts growing, and the more you start building, the more importance you start showing about the existence of a program like this, then you will start getting buying. Suddenly you get some funding in order to improve your technology, and it's a journey. We were not here 8 years ago. We started with something very simple and rudimentary. Any other question?
Yeah, so, and I'll answer this quickly. So people are asking about this ally training. We actually, and how you get that, we don't sell it, but we did partner with Out and Equal to develop a lot of our ally training, transgender training, bisexuality training. When gender doesn't fit in a box, we try to go to 201, and Out and Equal has some great partnerships to develop training that's right for your organization. And then also talking about, is the ally program specific to allies of the LGBTQ community?
At the moment,
thought about extending it.
Yeah, at the moment it is. There were several discussions across the company, especially with all of the events that happened in 2020, in order to expand the term ally to other organizations. Still, I think we are going to, and please don't go and quote me as official anything, but we are going to continue with Ally exclusively for the LGBT plus network. And then what we're doing is creating a more broader advocacy program, right, for advancing equality in general, more specifically for advancing racial equality. Right now, our efforts are in the accelerator. And then this advocacy or advocates, more generally speaking, from a D&I umbrella in an organization is where we're going to focus on using that term. Regardless, the concept is the same. The concept of advocate, of allyship, right, remains the same. It's just a matter of the term and how we use it and the kind of branding of the term ally within the LGBT community.
Perfect. And then also, you know, how did you communicate or really get the top executives on board? What were your challenges when getting this launched, and how did you overcome those with getting that top-down approach?
It wasn't, to be totally honest, I think it wasn't difficult. And that's one thing. There are certain things in life, especially in this journey and in this story, that they're just a given, right? Is we have an idea, we wanted to create this ally portal, and there was nobody in the organization that came saying no. They said yes. They said it may take a while. We need to figure out how to get funding for your ally video or your collateral or how we distribute. But it became something that we've gotten full support. We got our rainbow pins, for example. Our CEO wears the rainbow pin during Pride Month. The management team as well. I think the first people to start becoming allies, or the first group, was Brian Moynihan and his management team. So this comes from the top because, as I mentioned, it's part of the values of Bank of America. Is we believe in our people, we trust our teams, and we really know the power of all of us when we work together. So by having this idea, expressing the support, and considering everything that LGBT teammates and individuals are going through, it just was a no-brainer, and that support existed. It was inherent. It was there. So that support is not, like I said, it's not monetary, right? It's not that, hey, I'm going to found all of this program tomorrow. It takes time to build the case for inclusion, but we never got anything that would imply a rejection or a roadblock when it came to getting buy-in from the leadership.
Perfect. And we're right at the top of the hour. So one more time, could you just go over how, if they want to join this ally journey, this ally group moving forward, what's the best method?
So you mean employees or
for these ally open houses that we have coming up?
Oh, so we're gonna send a recap and probably a copy of our Act of Inclusion cards. Then if your organization wants to join, it will include instructions. We want to bring group of organizations together so we can enable dialogue, but then that's an opportunity. You reply to the email, we sign you up. We have a group of volunteers that are gonna be coordinating these ally open houses. But in addition to that, at the end of this presentation, first you can reach out on LinkedIn or anything to Zaina and I. The email, the mailbox, if we go to the last page now, Scott, I know you're very talented. So we go to the last one. You have our email IDs for Zaina and I never don't reply to an email, so feel free to reach out. And I know Zaina is the same, but also we have our page, our mailbox for the Ally program that you can reach us like at any time there, or our group of volunteers in order to schedule it. That is lgbt.pride.ally.program@bofa.com. So feel free to reach out to that mailbox. That probably is the best way to get you signed up and to get your organization considered. Just mention your name, the organization you represent, and then we will take it from there. But we really, really want to have everyone having the opportunity to continue to learn and help you the best way we can in your ally journey as well, because not only we do it for Bank of America, but Bank of America does it also for the communities we serve and our peer organizations. So yeah. I want to thank everyone, Out and Equal, all of the participants, Scott for being the producer, Zaina for being my partner in crime, and Zaina, any final comment?
The same thing, Christian. Hopefully you found this helpful. It's been so great to hear your questions and see the chat coming through. And again, this is just how we take our influence and continue to expand it. So thank you for your time and your interest, and go be the change out there. Thanks, Christian. Thanks, Scott.
Thanks, everyone.